As Ace Ventura would say, Holy Testicle Tuesday, race fans. We have had ourselves a Southern 500 to kick off the 2023 NASCAR race for the playoffs, the chase for the cup. Call it what you will. The Chain Gang is here with me today. We're going to call it lots of things today as we break down everything from Darlington. First, let's go to Checky Swags, the badass who was in Darlington with the view from turn 4 because that's how she rolls. Checky, how you doing this evening?
I am doing fantastic. Yeah, I am ready to go. That was such an awesome day. A little hot, but I'm not going to complain because the racing was awesome. I'm so psyched.
Oh, yeah. All right. And the indomitable, the one, the only, Willie T-Bone the Hadley.
Woo! So, funny story. Like, I felt like a little unprepared because I kind of slept through the race on Sunday. So, like, it's 7. I'm like,
what?
So we're recording this at 8:20. So at 7:50, I decided I'm gonna turn on the 20-minute NBC YouTube video to see what happened, and I fell asleep.
You fell asleep watching
again.
The replay video?
Yeah, I fell asleep watching the replay to see what happened.
What the hell? What is wrong with you? It was a really good race. What the fuck?
Well, you should be a source for insights into all the action, Willie. And I mean, that's the problem with you. He was at my house, Checky, and then at the end of stage 2, the end of stage 2, I'm like, all right, man, it's getting real now. Let's do this thing. And he's like, peace out.
I had shit to do. I had to see a man about a horse.
Well,
oh my God, that's just crazy.
We had quite the race at Darlington. Checky, it looked like it was a packed house there. What was the crowd feel like? Was it electric? Was it Southern 500? People were pumped up. It was hot as shit. What was the read on the crowd?
Yeah, I would say it really was packed. I know they said it was sold. When I walked up to the gates to head to my seat, the ticket window said sold out. And when I got in there, it definitely was packed. I mean, there were a few seats here and there, but it was very few and far between. It definitely was a packed house. I was a little bit surprised to that extent because I had been kind of keeping an eye on tickets, and they just kind of like disappeared. I mean, there was a bunch sold out already when I started looking, but it was, that was impressive. It's nice to see, the stands that full and people were there for it. It was a great time. And I suspect a lot of them were there for the weekend. I just rolled down for the day, but, good time for sure.
Well, the man, Kyle Larson, has been knocking on the door at Darlington for quite some time now. Everybody figured he should be the kind of guy that dominates at Darlington. He finally got the job done. Checky, I'm curious to hear, from your standpoint, watching this race play out with all the twists and turns that inevitably the Southern 500 takes. Did you get the sense? I'm sure you were watching Larson for a decent chunk of the time. Did you get the sense that he looked like one of the guys to beat early on, or did you have to kind of see it play out?
There's gonna be change throughout the race, and that race is like a race of attrition. It's such a long race, which I love. I'm there for all of it. Unlike Willie, I stay awake the entire time. I didn't get home till 3 a.m. But I mean, it was action packed, as Darlington is, whether it is on the broadcast or not. There's just always something to be watching. The lines, the different. I mean, there was a lot of drama, and I had a personal interest in Larson, so I just kind of keep an eye on him in general. But I definitely was not. I mean, obviously, at the end, my buddy Tyler was at the race, and he was sitting over at the end of the front stretch, and he texted me at the end to say, "Is Larson gonna be able to hold him off?" And I'm like, if it goes green, definitely. And it did, right? But he wasn't my initial pick. I mean, obviously, there was such a strong mix of cars, right? When you think about Bell and Hamlin and Reddick, in between the three of those guys, like I don't know how many laps the three of them led together. I think Hamlin ended up with 177, and of course he won 2 stages. It was just, I mean, I think it'd be foolish to think that Denny was like easy peasy going to knock out the whole race, because you don't know what's going to happen. But that was certainly a lot of drama, natural drama within the race. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. And, this race a year ago, Kyle Busch led like 150 laps. Then his motor blew up. And it was really stage 3. All the drama started to hit. Martin Truex inherited the lead a year ago, led like 40 laps. Then he had a water pump blow up. And it was just all these twists and turns of unexpected things. In this race, we had some similar unexpected things occurring, but not due to parts failures. I mean, it really looked like Denny Hamlin was going to just run away with it and sweep the weekend after he had won the Xfinity race. So that wouldn't have been too surprising to anybody, really, since he's a 4-time winner at Darlington. And then, there was the whole loose wheel thing. And I haven't listened to Denny Hamlin's podcast, and I didn't hear anything. Did they even talk about the loose wheel on there? Did I miss it? Like, I mean, he talked about it. He talked about it being, bad luck or crappy or, whatever. Like they can't let that get away from them. But the team said they didn't see a sign of a loose wheel.
Right. Yeah. And that's the only thing I'd seen. I thought that was really interesting, and I really want to hear more about that. Willie, did you come across anything in your Twitter findings, or did you not do that either?
Well, you recall on Green Eggs and Hamlin podcast, Joe Gibbs came in talking about the pit stop and said it was like a tenth of a second away from being tight or something. Isn't that what you're talking about? When he first,
that's what I mean. I guess he wasn't basing that on anything though.
Yeah, they had the data, right? They had like I don't know.
Maybe they measure the torque on the device or something.
Or yeah, they know how many tenths of a second that it was tightening.
But you would figure if there was enough of a if there was any sensation that he could feel, you would figure that there would be obvious visual sign of that sensation that he was feeling in the car. But I mean, it's not like Denny Hamlin has any reason to go making up stuff about what he's feeling in the car. He obviously felt something, but
right, to come back down. I mean, who wants to do that? Nobody, right? I mean, you're giving up your race essentially.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's just wild.
And then, it was this deal where once you got mired back there, you weren't going anywhere fast. I mean, oh man, I didn't know whether I wanted to cry or throw something when Reddick spun out with Ryan Newman there and cost Kevin Harvick the race. I mean, I was watching right on Kevin Harvick's dash cam. He was tracking down Reddick. It was beautiful. It was a thing of beauty that was coming together. They call on the pit road. I'm like, oh, hell yes. And I could see off his dash, oh, no, somebody's spinning up there. And I was just staring at the light as he was coming to pit road saying, please don't turn red. Please don't turn red. And it turned red. And, man.
A yellow light.
They need a yellow light.
There used to be a yellow before the red.
It's brutal, man. I don't think that would have changed a whole lot, but that would be nice if they had somewhat of a delay on that or something. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem right that. I mean, I know it was the ultimate unlucky timing of all timings to where he couldn't get back out on the track, but it just doesn't seem right that you can get screwed like that. I don't know. It left a real sour taste in my mouth with the whole race because, I mean, Harvick was tracking towards the front all day, working his tail off, driving clean, and he was in position. It was going to be his race. He was going to get that lead on that exchange of pit stops, more than likely. And who knows what would have happened after that, but it was looking good for Harvick at that point. And man, I bet that place would have gone bonkers, Checky, if Harvick had won.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was all for it. That was a very exciting time. My guy was involved in, we'll say, a little bit of drama with that. I was very interested. I did go back and watch the race in its entirety yesterday. I wasn't sure I'd have a chance to do that, but I did on and off and got to see it. And so I was really interested to see how the broadcast guys were going to handle that's the two different situations, which was Ryan was, although uh board wise, he was back in he finished like what 27th or something. At the time, I think he was a 31st place car, 2 laps down, but he had top 10 lap times for a large part of the race, and he was not just keeping pace with the leaders, but keeping the leader legitimately keeping behind him and staying with him once he did get past, right? I mean, he was legitimately up with the leaders, which is a whole nother conversation with the program at Rick Ware. But I was interested to see what the guys were going to say about him, quote unquote, holding them up when he was just running his line, doing his thing like he always does, not blocking, not mirror driving, none of that shit. And they didn't really talk about it. They were doing other stuff in the broadcast, and then they kind of referenced it, and then next they were more interested in Harvick and the guys coming behind them, and that got, of course, really interesting because what you were talking about, Hoppy, with the Harvick coming on pit road, that shit happened right in front of me, and I literally, of course, my eyes were on Ryan. I did see Harvick. I knew where Reddick was, and I saw what looked like, and obviously Reddick didn't stop, but when they're going so fast and the car ceases to like move in the same pace, it looked like he just slammed on the brakes and Ryan had nowhere to go. And I literally yelled at Harvick or Reddick, "What the fuck are you doing? Yeah, what are you doing?" And next thing you know, Ryan's spinning out to avoid him, right? Because Ryan's gonna a spin is better than smashing your car. And of course, that would have taken Reddick out too. But what a fucking disaster! And that because I didn't know what had happened at that point, and then to find out that Reddick got called to pit road, and I don't know what the fuck at that point you
He was
thought you were
practically
gonna
already
do.
past pit road at that
Oh
point.
my god, I was just beside myself. I just could not believe that he was that like honed in and not attentive to his surroundings and realize there's no fucking way. If
Right.
there were no other cars on the track, there's still no fucking
No,
way.
he
It's
was
not
way
happening.
up there. And
God,
I mean, you'd like to think that if you're a driver, you're driving the car. They can talk all they want on the radio, but the reality is you're way past anything resembling your pit entrance mark for a green flag lap. Like,
100%.
so
100%.
that's
And Ryan's team did that to him earlier in the race. And I don't remember at what point it was, but they said, come this time, come to pit road. He's like, no, I can't. I'm already by it.
yeah,
Like, they obviously didn't know. No one knew I knew where he was. They didn't know where he was. And Ryan's like, nope, next time. Like, I mean, you just have to, right? You got to have, it's Darlington, right? I don't know where, I was trying to think of like, okay, what track would I be at where it wouldn't really matter that much and there's a lot of forgiveness where it's just no big deal. But like Darlington has got to be like the top like 3 or 5 that you can't do that. You just can't just come whenever you fucking want. You have to be strategic about where you're entering the corner, when you're slowing down, getting off that banking safely. Because I watched those guys at speed coming off the banking, and there's a lot of squirreliness, right? It's
oh
not
yeah,
easy. They're planning
definitely.
on coming and trying to. It's crazy. I just couldn't believe that. Oh, that was such
It was
a rookie
it was
mistake.
truly just disappointing. So
Oh,
I thought it was a good race. I didn't necessarily think it was a super great race as far as Darlington standards. I think my take on it is diminished by what happened to Harvick there, just because I was so disappointed, especially after. I mean, he was marching right towards the top 3 last year. I think he might have broke the top 3 when he caught on fire in stage 3 last year and got knocked out of that Southern 500. So it's just so frustrating.
did
And
you
then
happen to hear any comments from him? I obviously did not. So, was there any? Did they get him for an interview and like?
Not that I know of. I didn't see anything, and
Poor
I haven't
guy.
read anything. But it's pretty brutal. Hard. I mean, I'm not saying there's no chance he wins before the end of this year, but
Right.
it's not looking good. So we'll see.
Right.
I also was just really surprised by the kind of night that Martin Truex Jr. had, because he couldn't. At first, I had convinced myself after he qualified poorly, and and Bell and Hamlin qualified up front. I convinced myself that they were just being smart, and they already had the car set up for nighttime, and they were gonna freaking blow by people once the sun started going down. And he really, I was riding on Truex's dash cam. I had everything all synced up with his dash cam and his radio, and he wasn't necessarily complaining a lot initially about the car, but he was just saying it was really slick, and he was loose in, and just things that you thought would get better once it turned nighttime. Honestly, I did, and it really never improved. Plus, I think he had a penalty, I believe, or not a penalty, but didn't he have a loose wheel also?
I think he did have to come a second time.
Yeah, and then that really killed him, because it was one of those nights where every single pass or track position he could get, he really needed, and he couldn't afford a single mistake. And then honestly, it's a wonder he ended up finishing 18th after how bad everything looked after that loose wheel and stuff. So I hope they can just shake this one off, get it out of their system. They're still up by 20-something points or something, 24 points maybe in the standings. So they just need to have a clean Kansas race and a clean Bristol race, and everything will be fine, and they can move on. But we'll see. I mean, it definitely, this playoffs, to me, it has a feeling of just like weird stuff happening. I mean, right now Kevin Harvick's out by 2 points on the outside looking in. Bubba Wallace is out by a point, but it's all really close to call there. I mean, Christopher Bell's only up by a point after dominating the early part of the race, and Joey Logano's only up by 3 points after a tough night for him. And Penske and the Fords qualified well. They just didn't finish well. So just a odd race. And then, another oddity was Ross Chastain's night. He went a lap down. He looked like crap initially. I was enjoying how much he was struggling personally. And then he just kind of got his lap back and just kind of went forward and ended up, finishing in like the top 5 or something?
Yes, I just could not believe that.
That was so weird.
That recovery, that was just wild, man.
Oh, and let's talk about Alex Bowman versus
Oh my
Suarez.
God. What in the hell? So the thing is, like, when I watched the race back on Monday, I got to see obviously better angles, more replays, all that. And I just could not believe some of the shit I was seeing. I'm like, that was so egregious. What was Alex doing? It was ridiculous.
The first block wasn't even good.
God.
Willie.
Well, I mean, it's Swerve.
Was he sleeping again? Willie, what the freak?
I had to burp right when he called on me. The delicious Yingling Light. No, so it's freaking Swerve's fault for them not lifting. He could have lifted and not wrecked both of them.
Well, that is true. I think there's a discipline issue there. But in the first place, why the fuck are you blocking and doing that shit at Darling? I'm sorry. Don't do that. What are you doing?
I mean, the first block was bad enough, but the trying to drive it back up the track, Bowman deserved to get wrecked. That was the problem.
Yeah.
Well, sure, he deserved it, but he didn't have to do it.
I mean, no. If Suarez is smart, what he does is he goes ahead and he backs off right there and then gasses it up through the center of the turn and sends Bowman up the track.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way to do it. But see, Suarez can't contain the spider monkey, is what it was. And I was really hoping we were going to see pit road spider monkey action. But maybe this is just the primer of. I mean, because at this point, Swervez has missed the playoffs, so he's got that riding on him. He knows he needs to prove himself and have a strong end of the year, if at all possible. And you get somebody like, somebody douchey like Bowman messing with you. Oh, he could totally go spider monkey on Bowman. Bowman would run away screaming. Ah!
Well, if he listened to Daniel's interview, he might stay away from him because he was pretty hot. He's like, I don't want to see him. I need not to see him in the next 20 minutes. Because shit's going to go down, and you just know, you just have to hope that there'd be a sighting that just like Harvick, obviously, it could not be there to push anybody into anybody else, but just a little instigation to get that
Especially
going.
Bowman when he gets that stupid little grin on his face. He just, he's got like Go Spider Monkey on Me written all over.
Face. Are you saying he has a punchable face?
Yeah, he does. As opposed to Kyle Busch, who looks like he's already been punched several times in the face. No, who actually looked like they had been punched several times in the face because he was Ryan Preece. When he took off his sunglasses for the interview, I was like, no, put them back on, please.
He was a little rough again.
I mean, it wasn't just the black eyes. It was the fact that, like, his eyes were all bloodshot, too, and shit, man. Like, that was brutal.
Yeah, they weren't bloodshot. They were bruised, but then the wife got to him and said, you do that shit again, I can kick your ass.
Yeah. Let's see. What else did we miss here? Bubba, how did his race break down? He ran pretty good at first, did he not?
He did. He got a lot of positions. He had his spin, and then he ended up coming back to 7th. I mean, that's super respectable.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, doesn't get him where he needs to be points wise, but I mean, certainly, every little bit helps.
Well, it's a pretty good start for Reddick, who needed a good start. So, and Buescher, real solid day for him. Although, look at this. Reddick scored 51 points, finishing second. Buescher scored 36 points, finishing third. So, I don't think honestly, I think the NBC and the coverage in general, but NBC especially this time of year, they do a shitty job covering how important the stage points are to the championship standings. Because
we talk about that shit every year, Hoppy. What the fuck is going on?
It's ridiculous.
Like, why can't we have the ticker? Why can't we have something? Now, granted, I was there, so I wouldn't have been able to see it, but for all of you at home, and when I watched it back, like, we want to know that shit. It doesn't take much to put a little extra something, either another line below, just something.
You wouldn't think it would be that difficult.
I kind of feel like they should say the point stuff for the elimination races. Because like Gluck and Pockers were both tweeting out, like, every stage was like, this is the new points, and they were doing different things. Like,
that's the problem, exactly. They have to do different things like that. They have
because Gluck was including, like, as they run, and Pockers wasn't.
Right. I don't even have to see it as they run right now. I just want to see a graphicked display of the point standings after the stage 1 and after stage 2.
Agreed. Yeah.
Like, how hard is that?
It shouldn't be.
2 more weeks, show it to me.
Well, then you could ignore it. But everybody else wants to see that shit.
I don't. Or maybe put it on the screen, but don't talk about it.
They could do that too. Yeah, just flash it up there. If you don't want it, you don't want it, right? No one. Yeah, they don't have to talk about everything.
No, but they should be talking about it because they're always looking to build drama. They've got drama everywhere they look in the point standings after every stage. So, I don't know.
Yeah, that is perpetually frustrating because this is an annual conversation that we should not still be having.
Yeah. Well, I would say, at this point, it's definitely looking like, people that picked McDowell and Stenhouse to go out in round 1 are feeling pretty confident about that. But, and I don't necessarily disagree, even though Stenhouse is only 4 points back. I still don't. I mean, Hey, Stenhouse loves Bristol. He could go out there and score serious stage points if he qualifies good and squeak in on points if he has a solid Kansas. So really anything can still happen. But so much about this first round is just not being the guy that has more than one mistake. That's what makes me different. That's what makes me nervous for somebody like Truex right now. Because Truex and Byron were tied going into that race, but now Byron's 45 points above the cut line and Truex is 25 points above the cut line. So my hope is that with it being Kansas, that Truex can qualify right up front and get stage points for both stages, and that'll be a good thing. Denny Hamlin's the favorite for Kansas, and then Truex is up after that. So looks like the odds makers believe that Truex and Hamlin will be the cars to beat.
I could totally see that. Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that I think are well within striking distance reasonably for Kansas. So yeah, it's going to be another interesting race. I hope it's a good race. I think it should be. I feel like it was last time we went there, right? I feel like it was good things. So.
Well, did Kyle Larson? Did he kind of? Is this a warning shot from Kyle Larson for these playoffs now? Because he's had a pretty quiet year. We were talking about how he's been pretty up and down in terms of his consistency. But if you can win a race, you only need to win one race each round, and it doesn't matter. So he's already done that in the first round. It's the next round that I think Larson has to be worried about because Texas, Talladega could be unkind to him. So we'll just have to see.
Don't be throwing him out with the again, Happy, because you've been downplaying Larson the whole time.
I still think he gets eliminated in the second round. I really do. I thought that before, and I think it now.
All right. Well, I am staying strong with Larson. Final four, here we come.
All right. Well, we have to
ride or die, man. Ride or die, Happy.
None of us picked Larson to win. I had the 19, and Checky, you had the 24, and Willie went with Keselowski. So now we got to try and figure out what the hell people are going to say about this good race poll. I have not been ratted out on this good race poll yet. I managed to avoid anything on Twitter or anything on podcasts about it. So looks like
Willie has, because he's been sleeping.
Yeah, he's not doing shit. It's up to me to pick first on this good race poll, and this is tough because I mean last year's Darlington, which I recounted a bit, that was a 93.5, and people really like Darlington in general. They like the Southern 500. Darlington earlier this year, for reference, scored a 83.3 versus a year ago 86.7. So I could see this race scoring a little bit less than that 93.5 from a year ago. The question is how much less? I feel like it's relatively similar to last week at Daytona in terms of who would think it was a good race. So I'm just going to go with what the score was last week. I'm going to go with a 91.1 as my guess.
Wow, that is so high. I'm surprised, Happy, that you said that. I was expecting you to lowball it for sure.
I think I'm a little high, but go ahead, see what you got, Checky.
Oh no, I'm just shocked that you went there. Yeah.
I think people are still really gonna like this race. They're cheering that Larson has a lot of supporters out there. They still got the unpredictable, stuff happening. Kevin Harvick fans will be bitter, but there's still a lot to like about this race.
I completely agree. Is it my turn or is it Willie's?
It's Checky's turn.
Okay. I like the high score. I never know where this freaking audience is going to be. I do think there were some unexpected, unfavorable things that the audience is generally not going to like. even if they do like a Kyle Larson win. So I'm gonna lock in with some Dale Jr. across the board, 88.8.
88.8.
Yeah.
All right. Give me the under. I'm a prices right your ass on that.
You cannot prices right by ass. If you do that, it goes to $1.
Yeah.
And then mine will be
I'll
close.
give you a whole point, 87.8.
Willie asked your
I'm not being nice to Willie anymore.
Checky, Willie asked your ass, how low can you go?
All right, I just clicked it. Let's see what it says. 83.8.
Wow.
See, I didn't see the prices right you that hard.
But you still did, so I'm still not going to be nice to you anymore.
A whole 10 points worse than last year. 83.8, you said?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
There was a lot of big bad shit that happened, though, right? It was very dramatic. The whole Hamlin thing was dramatic. Bell smacked the wall. That was like a lot of drama with him. There was drama with like the whole Reddick thing was a disaster. For Harvick, it was a disaster. There was a lot of bad shit happening that was unusual. So I could see how, I don't know, that would get people's attention for sure.
Carson Hocevar said he had fun, so he voted yes.
You know, he was actually on my list to shout out because holy hell, like I was impressed, super surprised with his, what did he bring it home, 17? That's big. So, I mean, good for him for keeping it clean and you know, just not getting crazy because it's easy to lose your shit at Darlington, and good for him. Of course, Jones comes home with another top 10. I mean, that guy is so solid there. He's just a fixture there. So we have to always keep him in mind. He's just going to be there.
There is as of 2 hours ago, there is some sort of video on Twitter of Daniel Suarez standing in what looks to be his living room wearing his bike riding shorts and shirt with the woman who I assume is his girlfriend or something talking to the camera.
I can't remember her name. It's not Danielle, is it?
Something PK.
And it's 2 minutes long.
Oh. Why couldn't he be wearing his wrestling stuff instead?
They're flipping a coin.
Door mask.
They're flipping a coin about something.
Okay.
This is weird, but I'm gonna have to go back and maybe it looks so dumb I don't even want to go back and know what it's about, I think.
Well, we have to know now that you brought it up.
Well, we're gonna have to find out.
Bike shorts.
I don't want to see him in his bike shorts. Nobody looks good in those. I'm sorry. Nobody.
Yeah. Bike shorts are a little too tough on a Testicle Tuesday. All right, folks. Kansas, here we come. Dust in the wind. Yellow brick road. All that good stuff. We got previously at Kansas, we had Denny Hamlin won in the spring. We had that 45 car with Kurt Busch win it 2 springs ago. And the same 45 car won it in the fall last year, driven by Bubba Wallace after he had missed the playoffs. So you have to figure that Bubba and Reddick are looking to be factors in this race. And then you got Hamlin, and you got maybe some Truex, but it's looking like a Toyota affair at Kansas. So I guess Willie, who's trying to keep his perfect winless streak intact this year.
Willie, I picked him out second about 4 times, I think.
Yeah, but that's not a win, Willie. So maybe, I don't know, maybe you can break the streak at Kansas. Who you got? You can pick anybody you want, Willie.
I was thinking Willie B.
Beeman. All right, he's going 24 car Checky. Looks like I'm up next because Checky is the most recent winner all the way back at Pocono.
Woo, woo.
So I'm going to say, last year the same car won both races. And as good as Hamlin's running, I have no reason to believe that history won't repeat itself. So I'm going Gremlin for the win.
He could sure use a rebound.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I appreciate you taking some folks off my board here. This is a tough pick for me. I'm really even looking at who I have. I'm just not sure. I know that Larson is strong, and part of me wants to pick him, but I don't know that we're gonna have the back-to-back thing, even if he has a strong run. So I think I'm gonna go. Man, I kind of want to go out on a limb. Look, not too far, just a little bit, because he's been so strong. I feel like his chips are going to come in sometime, and so I guess I'd rather them come in now than later. Let's go with BK.
BK.
For the hell of it, let's do it.
Well, we keep picking him. He keeps not winning, but we're gonna keep trying.
I don't think I picked him yet, have I?
I don't
Maybe
think. Well,
I don't
yeah,
think
you picked
so.
him at Michigan.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll pick him this last time.
And Willie picked him at Daytona and Darlington. I picked him at Atlanta.
Fine.
So we've been trying. He does it. That's why I picked him for my Final Four though, because he has that feel like he's just like ready to turn the corner and like really turn it up, like almost pull like a Joey Logano from last year.
Let me ask you this. Unrelated to BK, Xfinity race, Hamlin wins in overtime. When it comes to the playoffs, right, once we are locked in with the playoff field, tell me about your thoughts about Cup guys coming down, particularly playoff Cup guys coming down and running.
Oh, because
should that be a thing?
This was the last race where they can drive Xfinity, so it's really just this race.
Oh, okay, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
You can't in the playoffs.
I don't remember that.
You can't once the Xfinity cars are in the playoffs. I think Checky's question.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Checky's also raising a different question,
NASCAR
which is like, should it be allowed for this one race at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe not, but every Cup driver has a shot to do it. So
theoretically, yeah, I just don't like it.
I mean, Hamlin went out of his way on his podcast to say that, the cars are completely, different. You can't transfer anything from one to the other.
Oh, he's so full of crap.
But
laps are laps, right? Just in terms of comfort, feel, like all
being
of it.
out there on the track is something.
Yeah. And we didn't talk about this yet. I know it was on my mind because, to me, it wasn't funny, obviously, but like they're racing, the lights are off. I'm in that corner. The lights have been off the entire time. They never came on, right? And all of a sudden, it was a problem. And my buddy Tyler's like, I can't see at 3 and 4. I'm like, well, I can see just fine over here. We've got the outside lights. It's lit up. Like, it's not a problem. And then the next thing you know, they're like, nope, we got to call caution and go red flag for these lights. And I'm like, there was no.
For caution, was it? It was an excessive number of laps. I do remember
that. Oh, it was ridiculous. Oh, I was fuming. I don't know if you could see the fumes in turn 4, but if you did, that was from me wasting my green flag laps. I get so irate over that shit. You know that this is not going to be a quick fix. Once you decide we're going to do something about this, maybe 2 laps under caution or something, red flag it because you're just wasting time.
Darlington, a couple of years ago, when they couldn't figure out the scoring, they ran like 26 laps under caution.
Oh my God. Ooh, man. Yeah, I just thought that was so interesting. And then, of course, I'm listening to Ryan's radio. And I'm hearing them, asking the driver, what do you think? And Ryan's like, it's fine, let's run. And they said, they said there was a couple drivers that didn't feel comfortable, and I'm like, okay, all right. I was just curious who those couple of drivers were, and then I saw the exchange with my buddy Tyler sent me something about Larson was one of them, and somewhere BK had said something like all the dirt track races he runs, he can't see anything out there. It was just kind of comical. I don't know. What did you guys think about that when the whole light situation came up?
Oh, and the lights went out. Yeah, that was it's been a while. I was telling Willie it's been a while since we've had some sort of, track malfunction delay like that. And it was hard to tell on TV like just how dark it was there. They were asking the drivers, should we race? And they were like, it's sketchy. I did finally see one picture that was taken with, I think, more realistic lighting. And yeah, it looked really dark up by the wall. So
that's so interesting to me. Well, obviously, I mean, I was in my seat and not down by the track, but when I watched the race back and I saw like the camera, I was like, holy crap, that is so dark looking. But like from my vantage point, like it was pretty well illuminated, it was just such a different perspective. I was like, that is just crazy.
I want to know, did they work Saturday night? Like, did they test that shit?
Yeah, they said they did, but whatever the issue was, it didn't show up in the testing. But I was actually impressed that they got it back on as fast as they did, and it wasn't. It didn't turn into a complete disaster. It was more of just a quick pause, and I think I used that opportunity to try to convince Willie to drink some caffeine or do something with himself, and yeah. I think the problem is, Checky, I make burgers that are just too big and too good, and they just put Willie on his ass. That's what it is.
Kind of like turkey on Thanksgiving Day has that like tryptophan stuff. It just kind of like sedates you.
Yeah.
It's that or the alcohol.
No, you were keeping it light.
Yeah. That's right. Willie had shit to do.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got some headlines to consider here. Denny Hamlin finally extends his contract and signs multi-year deal to drive for JGR and continue with Toyota for 2311 and continue the partnership with Gibbs Racing in 2311. So just like he was saying, no surprises, just had to get all the contractual kinks worked out. So I don't think anybody's too surprised to see all that, even though people were speculating a bit, but Denny ain't going anywhere. And what's interesting to me about the whole relationship is that Joe Gibbs is basically like, fuck it. Like he sort of keeps things loosey-goosey a little bit. Gibbs does. Because, I mean, Hamlin has given some pretty independent answers and statements about stuff in the situation. And I guess I like Gibbs is just a glass half full guy. He's like, sure, you want to start your own team and beat us on the track? Go for it. You want some engineering help? Yeah, let's sign a deal. You want pit crews? You got it. Like, I mean, at what point does Gibbs be like, okay, enough of that? I just don't think that's in him, though. He loves Denny so much from what he's accomplished at JGR that it's like Gibbs doesn't really care about all the other stuff.
I mean, are they really a consistent threat at this point?
They're getting there.
You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, but I don't know. I wouldn't compare the stable of 2311 to the stable of JGR. You know what I mean? I wouldn't. But that's just me. At some point, perhaps. I know that's Denny's plan, obviously, is to get them consistently in the playoffs, or if they had a 5-year plan or whatever. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, he's obviously coming along. They're doing good stuff, but yeah, I'm not worried about him.
Yeah. What other headlines do we have, Checky?
Well, I have some headlines for you. Our good buddy Dale Jr. was racing this past weekend. He was what we'll call an unannounced entry. He didn't announce it ahead of time. He just kind of showed up at Florence Motor Speedway on Friday night, and he finished 6th in his late model. So not didn't bring home the trophy, but not a bad night for Junior, and hopefully he had a lot of fun. And kudos to Amy for letting him out of the house for the night. That's always nice when he gets to do that. Ty Majeski and the Thor Sport team were issued L2 level penalties after their race the other week. I don't think we talked about that. That's a big deal. That's a huge deal. It had to do with wheels, tire assembly, specifically valve stems. I heard something along the lines of bleeding tires. NASCAR didn't say that, but that's kind of what I heard. And they were docked driver and owner points to the tune of 75, additional 5 playoff points, crew chief fine 25,000, and suspended for 4 races, which is pretty significant. The trucks don't race every week, right? Like Cup does. That's a big deal for them. So Ty's awesome. He's been awesome, and they're a really strong team. So I suppose if anyone could overcome it, potentially they could, but man, that's not a lot of time, and that's a really big hit. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with them afterward.
Yeah, well, you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, Jackie.
Oof, I guess so, but man, those stakes are really high. That's just 75 points, man. That's big, right? So we'll see.
Well, I'm at the actually you on that, because it doesn't really matter because he's in the playoffs. He already got a win, right? It kind of lucked out with the timing.
Yeah, I didn't see the after part of like where he actually is. I didn't go back and look to see like where everybody's stacked up.
Yeah,
but
he won a race, so he's advancing.
Oh, okay. Like with the one I was at. I mean, I don't remember. He won when I was there, when I was at Indy.
It'll affect, like, if he doesn't make the Final Four, it'll affect him because that 75 points will hit him then.
Yeah.
But if he makes the Final Four, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting then. So maybe not as big of a hit then as I thought it would be. Alrighty. So I have to tell you guys, this is a big deal. Super important stuff. Ryan Newman Championship SRX merchandise is on pre-order. That pre-order ends today. Don't worry. I've already got mine logged in. I spent way too much money buying SRX stuff for Ryan, and I had to get some modified stuff because I hadn't gotten that like I was supposed to. So I spent more than I should have, which is pretty normal when it comes to Ryan Newman stuff. And I want to, of course, shout out Ryan for finishing second at Carteret County Speedway over by the beach in the Smart Modified Tour on Saturday night. He has not finished worse than 6th place this season when he's run with them, which is awesome. And not as great of a night in Darlington. He finished 27th, but that he's doing some good stuff for that program. It was really nice to see him with consistent, solid top 10 speeds for a good part of the race. Yeah, they gotta do some tweaking. He will be making his next appearance at Bristol, and if all goes well, so will I. Cross your fingers for me, guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got.
That's what I got. Well, let's roll. Let's see here. So we had some headlines. This is the part of the evening in which we have to wake Willie back up. Willie, you can wake up now.
Okay, I'm off mute now. So what does Ryan Championship merch look like?
What do you mean, what does it look like?
I mean, what, like, did you get like a shirt?
You want me to send you a text of it? Like, I'll send you the link so you can get some. Do you want to get some Ryan Newman merchandise, Willie?
Is it like a shirt that's like made for people with no necks?
It's a good thing we're not in the same room because I would strangle yours. I am gonna send you a link, Willie, and I want you to look it up. Okay. Remember, pre-order ends tonight. You have got You've got to get on there. Okay.
What about Natalie Decker merch? You got any Natalie Decker merch?
I do not have any Natalie Decker merch. Do you? I don't think you would look good in yoga pants, no offense. But I'm sure
I
she's
got
selling some of those.
20.
I thought you were, well, you got to save up for her OnlyFans, whatever, $69 a month account, right?
Yeah. I've noticed people are leaking those on Reddit.
Oh, that makes me laugh.
I just saw the replay from Newman's in-car of where Harvick came down pit road, and Newman blew by, and Reddick was way the hell up there, slowing down in the top groove of 3 and 4.
Unbelievable. That's what I'm telling. Like when I watched the race back, because it was bad enough in front of me the first time. When I watched the actual race on Monday and the broadcast, and I saw this shit again, like I knew it was coming. Like, oh, this is where it happens, and I'm like, it looked even worse. You know what I mean? It looked like I just don't understand. I don't understand. We talk about situational awareness all the time.
Yeah.
I get it. High pressure, like there's a lot in the line. But you've got to know pit road and where you're at. Like if he's on the literally coming out of 2 and they say pit, is he gonna turn left right then? Do you know what I mean? No, you're just gonna do what you do off of turn 3. I don't get it. I just yeah. Y'all go watch it again. It's like it just blows my mind.
It's ridiculous.
Now I will say I was really impressed. I sent you guys this link. I don't know if you watched it. Tyler Reddick's, not his, what I would say is a primary interview. You know how they have like the TV, the MRN, you can tell the guys, and then there are these other reporters that are there that might get to ask a question or two for their own interview. And so this was, I can't remember the guy's name. I want to say it was Noah something. But it was Tyler Reddick, and he asked him, the recorded part was just a question about, essentially, I think it wasn't that he was leading him or baiting him, but like with the question about Ryan Newman, quote unquote, holding him up, you kind of know where that's going. Are you pissed? Are you frustrated? That has to be terrible, like whatever. But Tyler was like, man, and I don't know what Tyler's angle was. I don't think he was just being honest. He's like, I don't know how he does what he does. Nobody else on the planet can do that as far as like holding traffic behind, like, and he didn't, the way he said it was not like disrespectful or like, oh, that guy is an asshole. It was just being honest. Like, I don't know how he did that. I'd like to be able to do that. Like I can't do that. And I was just like, wow, I was so surprised when I heard that interview. It's worth a look. It's a short one, but I thought, man, I can't believe he's not like fired up. You know what I mean? And because a lot of guys would be pissed. But I mean, again, if I was watching lap times, it was legitimately, he wasn't holding him up. You know what I mean? He was faster than him and kept up with him when he did get by him. And he raced Harvick, hard, and Harvick got by him easier. But I don't know. It was just a really interesting interview. I think folks could go check it out on the YouTubes.
Yeah. All right then. Well, the playoffs are underway, y'all. On one hand, I'm a little bit sad because that means there's only 9 weeks left in this season.
I know. It's
before you know
it, fast.
Before you know it, it's going to be the off season. However, that is still two months away, basically, and that sounds
a lot of
racing. That sounds better.
In those couple months, lots of racing.
And we'll at least be at the Roval in Martinsville in the process.
Woo woo.
All right. Well, Willie, any final words of wisdom for our listeners?
Yeah, go check out the motocross race in Charlotte on Saturday. Did y'all know about that?
No.
No.
it's like the super motor. It's not, you got supercross and you got motocross. Well, they're calling it super motocross or something. It's at the drag strip in Charlotte on Saturday.
It's at the drag strip.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That sounds. Have they raced there before?
I don't think so.
I'm interested to know what that track is actually going to look like.
There's a map of it online.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Okay.
Check it out. I'm sure it's going to be on Peacock. I think. I don't know. Oh, motocross is on Peacock, so.
I don't like you pushing your streaming shit, Willie. I like regular TV stuff. Don't make me stream.
Well, you can watch it on tape on Monday night on regular TV.
Oh, okay.
They do a delay.
I'll think about it.
Well, and on that note, we're going to wrap up this Testicle Tuesday. Take our boys on for the rest of the week. And I like coming off a holiday week here because we're that much closer to Kansas this Sunday already. Don't work too hard the rest of this week, y'all. I won't. And we'll catch you at the end of the Yellow Brick Road.
Sounds good. Have a great week, everyone.
Let me see the track. Don't let them smoke in my way. That's what it takes to make a race driver stay.